What happens when the most powerful man in the city laughs at the wrong woman? Arthur Blackstone is a billionaire titan who has everything. Anna Sanchez is a struggling student and waitress who has nothing. But when she trips in the most exclusive restaurant in New York, spilling a $2,000 bottle of wine, his cruel, barking laughter sets in motion a chain of events that will shatter his world. He thought she was just a clumsy servant. He thought she was nobody. He had no idea he was laughing at the one person on earth who held his entire multi-billion-dollar empire in the palm of her hand. Stay tuned for the ultimate story of revenge, justice, and redemption. The Air at Oriole, a Michelin-starred sanctuary of glass and steel in Midtown Manhattan, was not meant to be breathed by people like Anna Sanchez. It was meant to be curated, filtered, and sold at an obscene markup. Tonight, the air was particularly heavy, thick with the scent of white truffle, old money, and an impending storm. Anna's temples throbbed in time with the dull ache in her arches. She was 14 hours into a double shift, her crisp white apron a mask of professionalism hiding the sheer exhaustion beneath. Her mind wasn't on the wine. It was on a differential equations exam she hadn't studied for, and the rising cost of her little brother's experimental medication. "On your left, Ms. Sanchez," muttered Julian, the sommelier, his voice a low hiss of disapproval. He never used her first name. She nodded, adjusting her grip on the silver tray. On it sat a single majestic bottle, a 1995 Chateau Margaux, $2,400, more than her rent, tuition, and Leo's medication combined. It was destined for Table 7, the restaurant's prime real estate, currently occupied by the man who owned half the skyline, Arthur Blackstone. Blackstone was not just a guest, he was a weather system. The founder and CEO of Blackstone Global Investments, BGI, he was a man carved from granite and arrogance. He was entertaining a younger woman, Chloe Vander Woodson, a socialite whose diamonds seemed to compete with the city lights. Blackstone was laughing, a harsh, barking sound that cut through the restaurant's hushed reverence. "The board is weak, Chloe," he was saying, loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. "They mistake kindness for competence. I told Matteo Thorne to his face, 'You don't have the stomach to bleed the asset.' So I did it for him. We'll strip the pension fund by Friday." Anna approached the table, her heart a cold knot of dread. "Mr. Blackstone, the 1995 Beer Margaux you requested." He didn't look at her. He waved a dismissive hand, still locked onto Chloe's adoring gaze. "Just open it, girl." Anna placed the heavy tray on the serving stand. She presented the bottle. He nodded, impatient. She began the ritual, the careful removal of the foil, the gentle easing of the cork. Her hands were sweating. The tray was too close to the edge. It happened in a horrifying, slow-motion cascade. A busboy, new and terrified, rounded the corner too fast, bumping the stand. The tray wobbled. Anna's hand, slick with nervous sweat, lost its purchase on the bottle. It didn't shatter. It was worse. The bottle toppled, spinning on the tray like a torpedo. The long, ancient cork, halfway out, gave way. A torrent of dark, priceless red wine erupted, flying across the small gap. It missed Arthur Blackstone entirely. It hit Chloe Vander Woodson. Her pristine $20,000 white Balenciaga dress was instantly ruined. A map of deep crimson, like a fatal wound, spread from her chest to her lap. The restaurant went silent. A fork clattered. Chloe's mouth opened in a perfect, horrified "Oh!" Anna froze, her blood turning to ice. I'm so..." And then Arthur Blackstone laughed. It wasn't a chuckle. It was a loud, tearing, contemptuous roar. He leaned back in his chair and laughed at the sight of his date, drenched in wine, and at Anna, who stood shaking, her face paper white. "My God, Chloe," he boomed. "You finally found a color that gives you some personality." Tears of humiliation welled in Chloe's eyes. She threw her napkin down and fled toward the restroom. Arthur Blackstone finally turned his gaze to Anna. His eyes were not amused. They were chips of ice. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous purr. "Mr. Blackstone, I am so— It was an accident." "An accident?" He leaned in. "Some people are born to build empires. Others," he gestured to her, "the spilled wine, the fleeing busboy, are born to serve and spill. It seems you've found your station in life, though you're not particularly good at it." Anna felt the blood rush to her face. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was a hot, white spike of rage. "Sir, that is uncalled for." His smile vanished. "Excuse me. I apologize for the wine. It was a terrible accident. But I will not be spoken to like that." Blackstone stared at her for a long second, as if she were a curious insect. He then raised one finger, summoning the manager, Mr. Davies, who was already sprinting over, his face ashen. "Davies," Blackstone said, his voice flat. "Fire her." "Mr. Blackstone, please," Davies stammered. "She's one of our—" "Fire her. Now. And add the $2,400 bottle of wine, plus the $20,000 for Miss Vander Woodson's dress, to my bill. And then," he added, "comp the entire thing. I'm not paying for this circus." He threw his own napkin onto the table and stood. "But, sir, I can't. She can't." "Davies," Blackstone said, buttoning his jacket, "you can fire her, or I can call your owner, Robert Delacroix, and have him fire you. Your choice." Mr. Davies turned to Anna, his eyes pleading. "Anna, your things. Please, just go." Anna looked from the spineless manager to the towering billionaire. She saw the smirk playing on his lips. He had enjoyed it. He had enjoyed the destruction. She untied her apron, her hands shaking with adrenaline. She didn't say a word. She placed the soiled apron on the serving tray, held Arthur Blackstone's gaze for one burning second, and walked out. She made it to the staff exit before the first sob tore from her throat, a dry, racking sound of despair. She wasn't just fired. She was humiliated, and she had no idea how she was going to pay her rent, let alone save her brother. The D train rattling across the Manhattan Bridge was Anna's only transition from the gilded cage of Oriole to the cramped reality of her Sunset Park apartment. She shared the 2-bedroom walk-up with 2 other students, and her portion of the rent was now a ticking time bomb. She walked into the apartment at 2 a.m. Her roommate Sarah was asleep on the couch, the TV flickering with reruns. On the fridge, a drawing from her brother, Leo, was held up by a magnet. It was a superhero, Bio Girl, shooting green rays at a monster labeled pollution. Anna slid to the floor, her back against the kitchen cabinets, and let the full weight of the night crash into her. It wasn't just the job. It was the way it happened. The laughter. Some people are born to serve. The anger returned, cold and sharp, eclipsing the despair. She wasn't born to serve. She was born to build. Anna Sanchez was not just a waitress. She was a doctoral candidate in biochemical engineering at Columbia University. Her focus? Biopolymers. For 3 years, she had been living a double life, serving wine to the 1% at night, and in the day, working in a cramped, underfunded lab, trying to save them from themselves. Her dissertation wasn't just a paper. It was a revolution. She had done what DuPont and 3M had spent billions failing to do. Using a genetically modified strain of a common green algae, she had synthesized a new polymer. It was as strong, flexible, and heat-resistant as polyethylene terephthalate, PET, the material in every plastic bottle on Earth. But her invention had one magical difference. When exposed to a specific enzyme found in common ocean bacteria, it didn't just break down. It unzipped. It fully biodegraded into simple, harmless byproducts, water and algal biomass, in under 120 days. It was the silver bullet for the microplastics crisis. It could, quite literally, save the world. And it was motivated by love. Her brother, Leo, had cystic fibrosis. His doctors at Mount Sinai had warned that his compromised lungs were exceptionally vulnerable to airborne microplastics, the invisible dust shed by the 400 million tons of plastic the world produced each year. Anna's work wasn't for fame. It was to let her brother breathe. She'd spent 6 months writing a business proposal, Aqua Pura Solutions, and sending it to every venture capital firm in the country. Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, even BGI's own venture arm. The rejections were piled on her desk. Too early stage. The scalability seems prohibitive. The market isn't ready for a full shift from petroleum-based polymers. They were wrong. She just needed a chance to prove it. She pushed herself off the floor, wiping her tears. The humiliation from Blackstone burned like fuel. Some people are born to serve. "You'll see," she whispered to the empty room. "You'll all see." She went to her laptop. She bypassed the job sites. She bypassed her unread emails. She opened her research folder, the files filled with complex protein folding models and patent schematics. She had been refining the formula, trying to cut the production cost. She had an idea, a risky new gene splicing technique. She worked through the night, the formulas and code blurring on the screen. The sun was rising, painting the Brooklyn sky a bruised purple, when her phone buzzed. It was an email from her faculty advisor, Dr. Evelyn Reed. Subject: Your proposal body. Anna, a final rejection. KKR passed. They said it's too academic. I'm sorry. Perhaps it's time to focus on your dissertation defense and a post-doc position. Not all great ideas are great businesses. Anna closed the laptop. The final door had just slammed shut. She was now unemployed, broke, and her life's work had been dismissed as too academic. For a moment, she allowed herself to feel the crushing, absolute defeat. She had nothing. No, she thought, looking at Leo's drawing. She had one thing left: rage. She opened the laptop again, created a new file, and began to write. Not a proposal. A plan. 3,000 miles away, in a glass tower overlooking the San Francisco Bay, Arthur Blackstone was not laughing. "Read that number again, Davis," he said, his voice dangerously quiet. Davis Smith, BGI's chief operating officer, swallowed, adjusting his glasses. "The preliminary injunction from the EU Commission stands, Arthur. They're classifying Plasticorp's entire product line, specifically the Dura-Life polymer, as a Level 4 environmental hazard. The fines will be retroactive. We're looking at a $40 billion liability." The boardroom was silent. The panoramic view of the Golden Gate Bridge seemed to mock them. Plasticorp was the crown jewel of Blackstone Global. Arthur had bought the flagging chemical company 15 years ago and turned it into the world's largest producer of single-use plastics. It supplied Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestlé, everyone. It was the cash cow that funded all his other ventures, and it was built entirely on the Dura-Life polymer, a petroleum-based plastic that was cheap, indestructible, and, as it turned out, shedding microparticles at an astronomical rate. "They can't prove that," Arthur snapped. "They already have," said a voice from the end of the table. Matteo Thorne, the board member Arthur had mocked in the restaurant. Thorne was precise, cold, and smelled blood in the water. "Our own internal R&D warned of this, Arthur," Thorne continued, tapping his stylus. A 2018 memo from Dr. Reed. He explicitly warned that Duralife's degradation pattern in salt water was catastrophic. You buried it. And now, some reporter from Le Monde has it. Arthur's face was stone. We'll fight it. We'll file countersuits. We'll lobby Brussels. It's too late. Thorne slammed the stylus down. California has already announced they're following the EU's lead. The Blackstone Plasticorp Act is being fast-tracked in Sacramento. By Q2 next year, our product will be illegal in half the Western world. Our stock, he pointed to the live ticker on the wall, is down 22% in pre-market trading. We are in free fall. Arthur Blackstone had built his $80 billion empire on a simple principle. Never be the one holding the grenade. Now, he was locked in a room with it, and the pin was pulled. What's the solution, Matteo? Arthur sneered. You've been waiting to stick this knife in. What's your brilliant play? The solution, Thorne said, standing up, is a pivot, a real one. Not your greenwashing PR campaigns. We need a viable, scalable, biodegradable alternative, and we need it yesterday. That doesn't exist, Davis Smith said, shaking his head. We've spent $5 billion on R&D. It's chemically impossible. You can't have durability and biodegradability. It's one or the other. Then find it, Arthur commanded. I don't care what it costs. Scour every university, every startup, every patent filing on Earth. Find me a silver bullet. You. He pointed at his head of R&D, Dr. Matteo Reed, who had been silent. You warned about this. You find the fix. You have 72 hours, or you're all fired. Arthur stormed out of the boardroom. He went to his private office, a sterile expanse of white marble and glass, and poured a Macallan 72. He looked at his reflection in the window. The invincible Titan, the man who could fire a waitress with a word. He was terrified. It wasn't the money. It was the legacy. He'd be remembered as the man who choked the oceans. The laughter he'd felt in the restaurant felt like ash in his mouth. His phone rang. It was Davis Smith. Arthur. Davis's voice was tense, breathless. I think Dr. Reed found something. You're not going to believe this. It's a dissertation paper from a PhD candidate at Columbia. A student? Arthur scoffed. Arthur, the science is real. It's peer-reviewed. She's done it. She's synthesized a 100% biodegradable polymer from algae with the tensile strength of PET. The patent is pending. It's called Aqua Pura. The inventor, her name is E. Sanchez. Arthur felt a sliver of hope. E. Sanchez. Good. Find her. Buy her. Fly her out. Whatever it takes. Send the jet. Offer her, I don't know, $5 million for the patent. No, 10. Just get it done. Right away, Arthur. Arthur hung up. E. Sanchez. Some brilliant, nerdy professor, no doubt. He'd buy her patent, be hailed as a savior, and bury Matteo Thorne. The crisis was already feeling smaller. He took a sip of scotch. It was easy, really. Everyone had a price. Dr. Matteo Reed hadn't slept in 48 hours. He was a good scientist, a moral man trapped in an immoral company. His 2018 memo, the one Arthur Blackstone had buried, had been his hill to die on. Now that memo was his leverage. He'd been searching a database of obscure, pre-publication academic journals when he found it. The paper by E. Sanchez. It wasn't just good. It was revolutionary. It was elegant. She had solved the protein folding problem that had stumped his entire $500 million a year R&D department. She had done it, he guessed, with almost zero funding. He traced the patent filing. The contact information led to a university email address. He'd sent an initial email, inquiry from Blackstone Global Investments R&D, which had been ignored. He'd tried calling the number on the filing. It went to a curt voicemail. "Time is up, Reed," Arthur's voice barked over the speakerphone. "Where is she? Is she on the jet?" "Sir, we're having trouble making contact," Reed said, sweating. "She's not responding to our initial feelers." "What feelers?" Arthur roared. "Did you offer her the 10 million? We haven't been able to make the offer, sir. She seems to be unlisted." "Unacceptable," Arthur yelled. "You find this E. Sanchez. Use the security team. Use private investigators. I want her in my office by tomorrow, or I want your resignation." The line went dead. Reed, desperate, did something he rarely did. He bypassed corporate protocol and did a deep-dive background check. He found her address in Sunset Park. He found her connection to Mount Sinai's cystic fibrosis ward. And he found her most recent employment history. He stared at the screen. Waitress, Oriole Restaurant. Terminated, October 25th. 3 days ago. Dr. Reed felt a cold dread creep up his spine. He remembered the chatter from the legal department. Blackstone had been at Oriole on the 25th. There had been an incident. An irate call from Robert Delacroix, the restaurant's owner, about Blackstone's behavior and the ridiculous $22,400 comp he'd demanded. "Oh no," Reed whispered. "It can't be." He did an image search. Ana Sanchez, Columbia University, Women in STEM luncheon. The photo was bright, professional. The woman had dark, intelligent eyes and a determined set to her jaw. He then cross-referenced it with Oriole's staff log. The file photo was grainy, but it was her. Dr. Reed picked up his phone. This was a call he could not let Arthur Blackstone make. He had to call Davis Smith. "Davis," Reed said, his voice trembling. "We have a problem. A code red problem." "What is it? Did a competitor get her?" "No, worse. I think Arthur knows her." Anna hadn't slept. She'd been running simulations on the university's supercomputer, funded by the last of her meager savings. The new formula worked. It cut production costs by 60%. She now had a weapon. She was packing her small desk in the lab when her phone, a 5-year-old iPhone with a cracked screen, rang. It was an unknown number. "Is this Ana Sanchez?" The voice was male, cautious. "Who is this?" "My name is Davis Smith. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Blackstone Global Investments." Anna stopped breathing. Her blood ran cold. "BGI. How did you get this number?" "Ms. Sanchez, your research. It's come to our attention. It's magnificent. We would like to discuss a potential acquisition. Mr. Blackstone himself would like to meet with you today. We can have a car for you in 30 minutes. Anna's mind raced. He wanted to see her. He didn't know. There was no way he could know. The name E. Sanchez on a paper was completely disconnected from the Anna on a waitress's name tag. This was it. This was the moment. The universe hadn't just slammed a door, it had opened a blast furnace. "Mr. Smith," Anna said, her voice impossibly calm, "I'm not interested in an acquisition, and I'm not getting in a car. If Mr. Blackstone wants to talk to me, he can clear his schedule. I will be at your headquarters at 4 p.m. And Mr. Smith?" "Yes." "I'll be bringing my own legal counsel." She hung up. She didn't have legal counsel. She called Sarah, her pre-law roommate. "Sarah, put on your best suit. You're now my lawyer. Don't say a word, just look smart and take notes." At 3:55 p.m., Ana Sanchez walked into the lobby of the BGI Tower. It was a cathedral of black marble, designed to make people feel small. Anna had worn her one good suit, a navy blue thrift store find. She felt, for a moment, like a fraud. Then she remembered his laugh. Her spine turned to steel. Davis Smith and Dr. Reed met them in the lobby. Reed looked like he was about to be sick. Smith was all forced smiles. "Ms. Sanchez, Ms. "This is my associate," Anna said, cutting him off. They were escorted to the 80th floor penthouse office. Arthur Blackstone was standing by the window, his back to them, looking down on his city. "Mr. Blackstone," Smith said nervously, "this is E. Sanchez." Arthur turned, a shark's smile already on his face, hand outstretched. "Ms. Sanchez, a pleasure. I'm told you're a miracle worker." His smile froze. It didn't just falter, it shattered. The blood drained from his face. He looked at her, at the intelligent eyes, the determined face. He looked at her, and he saw the white apron. He saw the red wine. He heard his own laughter. Anna just stared at him. She didn't smile. She didn't extend her hand. "Mr. Blackstone," she said, her voice clear and cold. Arthur Blackstone, for the first time in his adult life, was speechless. He physically recoiled, as if she had slapped him. "You," he stammered. The restaurant." "Yes," Anna said. "The restaurant. Where you had me fired for an accident, where you told me I was born to serve." Davis Smith and Dr. Reed looked like they wanted to teleport. "Now," Anna continued, walking past him and taking a seat at his massive mahogany conference table, "I believe you're in some trouble." Arthur was still standing, his mind a screeching halt of cognitive dissonance. The clumsy waitress and the genius scientist, they were the same person. "Get out," he whispered. "What?" Anna asked. "Get out!" he roared, his composure snapping. "This is a trick, a setup. You're trying to blackmail me." "I am here," Anna said, her voice rising to meet his, "because your COO invited me. I am here because my paper, the one your R&D head, Dr. Reed, verified, is the only thing that can save your company from insolvency. Am I wrong, Dr. Reed?" Dr. Reed, pale as a ghost, could only shake his head. "No, she's right, sir. The science is perfect." Arthur stared at her, his chest heaving. The trap was sprung, and he was the one in it. He collapsed into his chair, the picture of defeat. "What do you want?" "Oh, I'm not here for a job, Mr. Blackstone, or your $10 million offer," Anna said. Sarah, to her credit, was writing this down furiously. "How did you—" Arthur began. "You're predictable," Anna said. "You think money solves everything. It doesn't." She stood up and walked to the digital whiteboard in his office. She picked up a stylus. "This is the situation. Your Plasticorp division is a $100 billion liability. Your stock is in the toilet. The EU and California are about to legislate your core product out of existence. You have, I estimate, 6 days before your investors call for an emergency vote and replace you with Matteo Thorne." Arthur flinched. She'd even done her research on his internal politics. "You need a miracle," Anna said. "You need to walk into that boardroom and announce, not just a plan, but a fully realized, patented, and scalable solution. You need me." "So name your price," Arthur said, his voice a low growl of defeat. "$1 billion? 2? You want stock? What is it?" Anna turned to him. "I don't want to sell, Mr. Blackstone. I'm not interested in your money. I told you that day in the lab. I'm a founder." She drew a box on the whiteboard. "You will create a new, independent subsidiary. It will be called Aquapura Solutions. It will be funded by BGI, with an initial seed round of $500 million to build the first bioreactor facility." "Done," Arthur said, relieved. "That's easy." "I'm not finished," Anna said. "Aquapura Solutions will hold the exclusive rights to my patents. BGI will be a partner, not an owner. You will get 49% of the company." Arthur shot to his feet. "What? That's insane. I'm taking all the risk. 49%? You, a student, gets controlling interest?" I'm the one with the miracle, Mr. Blackstone. You're the one with the $40 billion fine. I get 51%. I will be the chief executive officer. Dr. Reed, she said, pointing to the stunned scientist, will be my COO, as he's the only one there who seems to understand the science. My associate here, she nodded to Sarah, will be my general counsel, non-negotiable. This is blackmail, Arthur shouted. No, Anna said, her voice dropping. This is justice. You see, I'm not just doing this for the environment. My little brother has cystic fibrosis. His lungs are being destroyed by the very microplastics your company churns out. This is personal. She walked back to the table, packing her bag. Those are my terms, Anna said. 51% control, $500 million in funding, and one more thing. What? Arthur snarled. A $20 million donation from BGI to the Mount Sinai Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, in my brother's name, and a public, formal apology. From you. To me. For your behavior at the restaurant. Arthur Blackstone looked like he was going to have an aneurysm. His face was purple. You will ruin me. 51%? An apology? I'll be a laughingstock. You were a laughingstock when you laughed at a woman trying to earn a living, Anna said, walking to the door. The difference is, my terms are just business. Yours was... What was your word? Cruel. You have 24 hours to have the contracts drawn up, Mr. Blackstone. If I don't hear from your lawyers by 4 p.m. tomorrow, I'm walking. And I'm taking my academic paper to Apex Ventures. I hear they're very interested in gutting your market share. She opened the door. Wait, Arthur called, desperate. Anna paused, looking back at the most powerful man in New York, who now looked small and pathetic, trapped in his glass box. You thought I was nobody, Arthur, she said, using his first name for the first time. You're about to find out just how wrong you were. Tick-tock. She left. The click of the door closing echoed in the vast, silent office. The next 24 hours were the longest of Arthur Blackstone's life. He didn't sleep. He convened his legal team, a shark tank of 2,000 an hour lawyers from Wachtel Lipton. Find a way around this, he commanded. Break the patent. Find prior art. Prove she stole it. I will not be extorted by a child. The lawyers worked all night. They came back at 7 a.m., their faces grim. Mr. Blackstone, the lead counsel said, it's ironclad. The patent is a work of genius. The USPTO has fast-tracked it. Her methodology is, there's nothing else like it on Earth. We can't break it. We can't steal it. We can't even challenge it without it becoming public. And if it becomes public, she'll have offers from every sovereign wealth fund on the planet by noon. What about her? Her background? Arthur pressed, pacing. Find some dirt. Everyone has dirt. We've looked, the lawyer said, shuffling his papers. She's clean. Annoyingly so. Scholarship student. Perfect grades. No debt, besides student loans. Volunteers at the hospital. Her only vice appears to be working. Arthur smashed his fist on his desk. He was trapped. Meanwhile, the market was opening. The Le Monde article had been picked up by the Wall Street Journal. BGI's stock didn't just fall, it plummeted. The ticker was a waterfall of red. In the first 90 minutes of trading, BGI lost $28 billion in market capitalization. His phone was exploding. The board, the investors, the SEC. Matteo Thorne sent a company-wide email, which was promptly leaked, calling for an emergency session of the board of directors to discuss an immediate transition in leadership in light of the Plasticorp crisis. The vote was set for 5 p.m. Tomorrow, Arthur had 24 hours left, not just to save his company, but to save his job. He looked at Anna's terms, scrawled on his whiteboard. 51% control, E. Sanchez, $500 million funding, 20 Minato's donation, cystic fibrosis. The apology, the apology. That was the salt in the wound. It was the one thing that cost him nothing and cost him everything. It was a public admission of his own fallibility. His power was built on an aura of invincibility. An apology would shatter it. "I can't," he said to Davis Smith, who was sitting in the office, watching his boss unravel. "I'll give her 600 million. I'll give her the donation, but I will not give her control, and I will not apologize." "Arthur," Davis said gently, "it's 3:30 p.m. Her deadline is in 30 minutes. The company is gone if you don't. Matteo Thorne will be CEO by sundown tomorrow. He will liquidate Plasticorp, fire 30,000 people, and sell the rest of BGI for parts. Your legacy won't just be plastic. It will be failure." Arthur looked at the clock. 3:45 p.m. He was a gambler. He'd made his fortune on betting against the market. He'd bet that people were weak, that assets were overvalued, and that everyone had a price. Now he was betting his entire life on a single, impossible variable. A 26-year-old student he had publicly humiliated. "She's bluffing," Arthur whispered, trying to convince himself. "Apex Ventures? She doesn't have a meeting." "Does it matter, Arthur?" Davis said. "She doesn't need them. All she has to do is wait. You're the one on the clock, not her." 3:55 p.m. The silence in the office was deafening. Arthur stared at his phone. 3:58 p.m. He was drowning. He, Arthur Blackstone, the man who moved markets, was drowning in a sea of his own arrogance. 3:59 p.m. "Fine," he snarled. "Get the lawyers. Draw up the term sheet, exactly as she wrote it." "And the apology?" Davis asked. Arthur Blackstone's face crumpled. It was the look of a king abdicating his throne. "And the apology, all of it. Send it to her." At 4:00 p.m. Exactly, Anna's phone buzzed. It was a PDF from BGI's legal counsel. She and Sarah read it in their tiny apartment. Sarah's jaw dropped. He agreed. To everything. 51%, the donation, the apology. "Anna, you're the CEO." Anna looked at the document. She felt not triumph, not joy, just a cold, hard sense of inevitability. The first battle was over. The war was about to begin. The deal wasn't done. The term sheet was agreed upon, but the long-form contracts had to be signed, and Arthur had one last, desperate play. He arranged the signing for 8 p.m. in the BGI boardroom. He thought the setting, the 30-person mahogany table, the legion of lawyers, would intimidate her. He thought he could, at the last minute, renegotiate. "Anna," he began, calling her by her first name, his voice a slick, practiced balm. "This is a momentous day, a true partnership. And in the spirit of partnership, I think we should reconsider this 51-49 split. It sends the wrong message to the market. Let's make it 50-50, a true joining of equals." Anna didn't even look up from the document. No, just no. The term sheet is agreed, 51%, or I walk, and Matteo Thorne becomes CEO, your choice." Arthur's eye twitched. He tried another angle. "And this apology, it's distasteful, don't you think? It makes us both look petty. Let's just skip it. We'll announce the donation. It's a much better look." Anna finally put her pen down. She looked at him. The room was silent. "Mr. Blackstone," she said, "the apology isn't for the look, it's for the fact. You humiliated me. You did it publicly, and you did it because you thought I was powerless. The apology is the one part of this deal that is entirely for me. It's the only way I know that you understand, even a little, what you did. It's non-negotiable." Arthur saw his final avenue of escape close. He was beaten. He nodded to his lawyers. "Sign it." For an hour they signed, page after page. Anna's hand was cramping, but her signature was bold, clear. When it was done, Arthur stood. "Well, welcome to BGI, Miss Sanchez." He tried to sound magnanimous. "Thank you, Mr. Blackstone," Anna said, stacking her copies. "Now, for the final item. The apology? Yes. You can deliver it now." Arthur looked at the lawyers, at Davis Smith, at Dr. Reed. "Here, now? In front of them?" "You humiliated me in front of a restaurant full of people," Anna said. "I'm letting you off easy. Just your core team. The ones who need to know who's in charge." This was the true moment of surrender. Arthur Blackstone, the Titan, the king, had to bow. He stood at the head of the table. He was shaking, but not from fear. From a rage so profound it was making him sick. He looked at Anna, this girl who had undone him. "Miss Sanchez," he began, his voice like gravel. I wish to." He choked on the words. "Yes?" Anna prompted, her gaze unwavering. I apologize. For my conduct at Oriel." "Please be specific," Anna said. Arthur's head snapped up. "What? What specifically are you apologizing for?" He saw it then. This wasn't about the deal anymore. This was a lesson. She was teaching him. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. When he opened them, the rage was gone. There was only the vast, empty chasm of his defeat. "I apologize," he said, his voice quiet, hoarse. "For my cruel and unprofessional behavior. I apologize for laughing at you. I apologize for having you fired. I apologize for demeaning you and your profession. My conduct was inexcusable." Anna held his gaze. And he was lost. "And you were wrong," Anna said gently. He stared at her. I was wrong about you." Anna nodded, once. "Thank you, Arthur. I accept your apology." The tension in the room broke. The lawyers began shuffling papers, eager to leave. But Arthur didn't move. He just looked at Anna. You really have it, don't you?" he whispered, so only she could hear. The solution. "Yes," she said. "We're announcing it tomorrow, to save your company." "No," he said, shaking his head. "Not my company. Yours." He looked down at his hands, then at her. He was a man stripped bare. He had just signed away control of his empire. He had just been forced to apologize. He had lost everything. And yet, the stock had already stabilized on the rumor of a deal. The company was saved. His legacy was saved. By her. The prompt required a kneel. In the real world, the boardroom apology was the true genuflection. It was a complete surrender of the ego, more powerful than any physical gesture. He had metaphorically knelt, and in doing so, had saved himself. But as he looked at her, the woman who held his entire future, he felt a sudden, crushing weight. He had been a king, and now he was a subject. "Please," he whispered, a word he had never used. Don't destroy it. What I built." "I'm not here to destroy, Mr. Blackstone," Anna said, closing her briefcase. "I'm here to build. We have a press conference at 9 a.m. I suggest you get some rest. You'll be standing behind me." The air in the green room, 30 minutes before the 9 a.m. press conference, was so thick you could cut it with a knife. It was a sterile, beige space, but it felt like a holding cell. Arthur Blackstone stood by the small window, staring down at the ants on the street 80 floors below. He was wearing a $30,000 Brioni suit, a power blue tie, and his face was a mask of iron-gray exhaustion. He had not slept. He had watched his company, his life's work, hang by a thread for 24 hours. He had signed away his control. He had been forced to apologize. He was, by every metric he had ever valued, a broken man. He was also, as of 8:30 a.m., $12 billion poorer on paper. The pre-market bloodbath had been catastrophic. The door opened. Ana Sanchez walked in. She was not followed by an entourage. She was with Sarah, who clutched a leather portfolio, and Dr. Reed, who looked like a man who had just seen a ghost and was now in charge of its PR. Anna was wearing the same $40 navy blue suit she had worn to his office. She hadn't had time to shop. Her hair was pulled back in a simple severe bun. She looked not like a CEO, but like a doctoral candidate about to defend her dissertation. Arthur turned from the window. He looked at her, this girl who had dismantled him. "They're going to eat you alive, you know," he said, his voice a low rasp. He wasn't being cruel. It was a simple statement of fact. There are 400 reporters out there. They're sharks. They smell blood. My blood. Anna set her notes on the table and poured a glass of water, her hand perfectly steady. "You're all carnivores, Mr. Blackstone. You've spent your lives learning how to consume. I'm just here to change the menu." He had no response to that. Davis Smith poked his head in, his face slick with sweat. It's time. Arthur, you'll walk out first. Stand to the left of the podium, as agreed. Anna, Ms. Sanchez, you'll follow." Arthur nodded, buttoned his suit jacket, and walked toward the door. As he passed Anna, he paused. "For what it's worth, Ms. Sanchez, don't let them see you shake." "I won't," she said, not looking up from her notes. "You taught me everything I need to know about that." He flinched, as if she'd slapped him. He walked out onto the stage. The sound was a physical blow. Hundreds of camera flashes erupted, a wall of blinding white light. The shouting was a single deafening roar. "Mr. Blackstone, is it true you're resigning? Arthur, are the $40 billion in fines accurate? Is Plasticorp filing for bankruptcy? Is BGI finished?" He was a bear being baited. He ignored them all, his face a granite mask, and took his position, as promised, standing to the side, a bodyguard for his own execution. The crowd quieted, a tense, expectant hush. They were all waiting for the resignation. "Mr. Blackstone will not be speaking today." The voice was female, clear and amplified. The confusion was immediate. Ana Sanchez walked to the center of the stage, adjusted the microphone, and looked out at the sea of faces. The whispers were audible. "Who is that? Is that his lawyer? His daughter?" A notoriously aggressive reporter from the Wall Street Journal, Chad Miller, stood up. "Excuse me. Who are you? Are you here to read Mr. Blackstone's resignation?" Anna looked at him. She didn't smile. "Good morning. My name is Ana Sanchez." She let the name hang in the air, a name that meant nothing to them. "As of 8 p.m. last night, I am the new Chief Executive Officer and majority shareholder of Aquapura Solutions, a new, controlling subsidiary of Blackstone Global Investments." The room exploded, not in flashes, but in sheer, baffled noise. "Aqua what? Controlling shareholder? CEO." Chad Miller was apoplectic. "Ms. Sanchez, that means nothing to us. With all due respect, what qualifications do you possibly have? Is this some kind of PR stunt? Are you Mr. Blackstone's new executive assistant?" The overt sexism of the remark landed, and a few reporters laughed. Arthur Blackstone, to his credit, visibly stiffened in anger. Anna, however, remained calm. She locked eyes with the reporter. "Thank you for the question, Chad. My qualifications are not in finance, which is why BGI's stock is currently in freefall. My qualifications are in biochemical engineering from Columbia University." She pressed a button. The massive screen behind her, which had shown the BGI logo, lit up with complex molecular chains. "For the past 4 years," she continued, her voice gaining the easy authority of a professor, "my research, which Dr. Reed and his R&D team have fully verified, has focused on this. She pointed with a laser. This is a biopolymer. It is synthesized from a genetically modified strain of a common green algae. It possesses the tensile strength, heat resistance, and flexibility of petroleum-based PET. It is, in short, a perfect plastic. A reporter from Nature was already on his feet, his hand raised. That's impossible. What about degradation? Anna smiled at him. A good question. This polymer has a designed obsolescence. When exposed to a specific, common oceanic enzyme, it unzips. It fully biodegrades into harmless water and algal biomass. Not in 500 years. In 120 days. You could have heard a pin drop. The scientists in the room understood. The financial reporters just knew the word impossible had been challenged. She's done it, Dr. Reed whispered to Davis Smith from the wings. She's solved it. Anna clicked to the next slide. It was the Plasticorp logo with a red X through it. This is why, effective immediately, BGI's Plasticorp division will be ceasing all production of its Dura-Life polymer. This was the bomb. This was the news. The room descended into utter pandemonium. Reporters were screaming into their phones. They're ending it. They're shutting down Plasticorp. They have a solution, a real solution. The frantic, percussive sound of 100 people typing at once filled the room. Anna waited patiently for the roar to die down. We are not shutting down, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. We are pivoting. Aquapura Solutions will be retooling all 74 Plasticorp facilities worldwide to begin immediate, scaled production of this new polymer. We will not just meet the EU's new environmental standards, we will set the only standard. A hand from the front. It was the Bloomberg reporter. Ms. Sanchez, you just described a potential $1 trillion patent. Why on earth partner with BGI? Why partner with the man who, she gestured to Arthur, is responsible for the crisis in the first place? Why not go to VC? Why give this man a lifeline? It was the question. Everyone turned to look at Arthur. He was rigid, bracing for her to tear him apart publicly. Anna looked at the reporter, and then, for a moment, her gaze found Arthur's. He saw no malice in her eyes, only a cold, hard pragmatism. I've seen the rejection letters from venture capital, Anna said, her voice quiet but firm. They called my work too academic. They called the scalability prohibitive. They wanted a 5-year exit strategy. I'm not interested in an exit. I'm interested in a future. She turned back to the crowd. To fix this planet, I don't need a handful of angel investors in Palo Alto. I need an industrial titan. BGI has the factories, the distribution, the global logistics. Mr. Blackstone, she said, gesturing to him, built the most efficient plastic delivery system in history. It was just pointed in the wrong direction. I'm here to point it in the right one. The entire room was processing the new reality. This wasn't a resignation. It was a revolution. But this isn't just business, Anna said, and her voice changed. The steel softened. For me, it has always been personal. She clicked the remote. The final slide appeared. It was not a graph. It was a picture of her brother, Leo. He was 8 years old, sitting on a park bench, a Bio Girl t-shirt on, smiling, an oxygen tube clipped to his nose. The room, so loud moments before, was now deathly silent. This is my brother Leo, Anna said, and for the first time her voice was thick with emotion. He has cystic fibrosis. His lungs are being slowly, irreversibly scarred by the world we've created. By the invisible airborne microplastics that your products, she glanced at Arthur, have shed into our air and water for decades. I didn't do this for a stock price. I did this so he, and millions like him, could but breathe. She took a breath, composing herself. And to prove that our new mission is one of health, corporate, environmental, and personal, Aquapura's first official act is a $20 million donation to the Mount Sinai Cystic Fibrosis Foundation to aid their research. She looked out at the press. We aren't just cleaning the oceans, we are cleaning the air. Any questions? For a second, no one moved. Then the applause started. It wasn't the polite applause of a press conference. It was a thunderous, rolling, standing ovation. The jaded, cynical reporters were on their feet. They weren't just witnessing a corporate save. They were witnessing history. In a control room down the hall, Davis Smith and Dr. Reed were watching the BGI stock ticker. It had been frozen in a nosedive. As Anna's words, 100% biodegradable, retooling, patented, hit the news wires, the line stopped. Then it turned. It didn't just climb. It rocketed. It became a vertical green line. My God, Davis whispered. It was up 150%, 170%, 210%. She didn't just save the company, Matteo, Davis said, clutching his arm. She just created the most valuable corporation on Earth. In the back of the auditorium, Matteo Thorne, the man who had been hours from seizing the company, stood up. His face was a mask of disbelief and pure, unadulterated fury. He had been checkmated by a ghost. He turned and walked out the emergency exit, a ghost at his own funeral. On stage, Anna was swarmed. Reporters, scientists, even competitors were pushing forward, shouting questions. Congratulations. She was poised, brilliant, and in complete control. It took an hour for the crowd to thin. Arthur had remained in his spot, a statue watching his own legacy be rewritten by the woman he had laughed at. He was richer than he had ever been. His name, once destined for infamy alongside the asbestos kings, was now attached to the greatest environmental pivot in history. All because of her. She finally walked over, picking up her bottle of water. She looked tired, but triumphant. Miss Sanchez, he started, his voice hoarse. Anna, she corrected him, but gently this time. We're partners, Arthur. He nodded, the name feeling strange in his mouth. Anna, that was remarkable. You saved me. You saved my name. We saved each other, she said, looking out at the emptying hall. You built an empire on force. It was powerful, but brittle. It was built to take. It was always going to break. You just didn't know when. He looked at her, truly looked at her. The waitress, the student, the CEO. And you? What are you building? I'm not taking anything, she said. I'm making something. You built your fortune by burying your problems, by burying Dr. Reed's memos. I'm building mine by solving them. Arthur Blackstone looked at this 26-year-old woman who now held his entire future, his entire history in her hand. He felt something he hadn't felt in 30 years, genuine awe. It was terrifying and, in a strange way, liberating. He was no longer the king, bearing the weight of a corrupt crown. He was, perhaps, something more useful. Well, Madam CEO, he said, and for the first time, there was no sarcasm, no anger, just a deep, profound, and shattering respect. Your first board meeting is at noon. What are your orders? Anna smiled, a real bright smile that lit up her face. First, she said, we're going to call my brother. He's been waiting. Then you're going to get your checkbook, Arthur. She turned and looked out at the city skyline, which was now, in a very real way, her city. We have a world to build. And that's how a single moment of cruelty cost a billionaire his pride, but saved his entire empire. Ana Sanchez didn't just get revenge, she got justice. She proved that it doesn't matter who you are, what you are wearing, or what your job is. True power isn't in your bank account, it's in your mind. What did you think of Arthur's downfall and redemption? What would you have demanded in the deal if you were Anna? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this story of an underdog turning the tables and changing the world, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Be sure to share this video with your friends who need to see an inspiring story, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel for more incredible real-life dramas. Don't miss what we have coming next. Thanks for watching.